Hello, welcome back to the channel. We're doing another day in the life of a marketing manager today. It's been so crazy at work because it's our fiscal year start now, and we actually just had our annual 2-day in-person fiscal year planning meetings. So this whole week has just been sort of organizing all of the ideas and brainstorming that we did during the meeting and just making sure that we are creating an action plan for everything that we talked about, prioritizing the tasks, and also relooking at old tasks to seeing what we're bringing forth into the new year and what we are leaving behind. This is always such an exciting time of year because it's just like a nice proper reset for our company, both budget-wise as well as just like task load-wise. I personally love these times of year as well because it gives me the opportunity to reset my mindset and also go through my entire Notion workflow and just make sure that it is optimized for this new year. So that is going to be the focus of this video. It's a reset video, so I'm going to be going over my Notion dashboard that I've created for my workplace, which houses all of the information and tasks that the marketing department works on. I'm also going to be putting in all of the new tasks for the new year, as well as triaging all of the old tasks to make sure that our priorities are set straight for the next couple of months, as well as for the year forward. We'll talk a little bit more about what we need to get done today a little later, but first I have a meeting that I need to get to, so let's do that. Oh, that ticket for testing the GA4 events. Yeah, so there's been discrepancies between the GA4 event versus, just trying to see if we can pull an accurate number from Intercom. Okay, I'm done with my meeting. It's time to dive into Notion. So this is what our marketing Notion looks like. I'm trying to be careful about what I can and cannot show, but we have things organized by people. We have things for visibility, our pillars, our resources, our North Star. So a lot of this actually needs to be edited. So I need to go through each of these pages and just see whether some of these pages still apply, whether some of them can be combined, and just see how I can better organize this space so that it's more easily accessible and understandable for the majority of the people. I built out the Notion workspace for our company, but obviously because I built it out, it's built out to the way that my brain works and the way that I use Notion. I want to be able to get it to that place where anyone who looks at our workspace is able to easily understand what is going on. And then a little bit later, we can actually dive into the projects, initiatives, and tasks, which is how we have laid out everything that we need to work on. So I want to update all of those so they reflect the new goals of the fiscal year of 2024. So that's what I'm going to be working on for the next little bit, and I'm going to check back in once I've gotten through sort of the main organization of my workspace and we can work on the tasks and stuff together. Okay, I'm gonna take some time and just get ready because I do want to use my lunch hour to film some stuff as well. Honestly, you guys already know that I rarely put makeup on if it's just for work, unless I need to film something. We're gonna do a little chatty getting ready with me. Just a quick one. Like I said, I'm feeling super motivated about the year ahead. I just feel like we're getting to this place where we've accomplished so many cool things and there's still so many cool things that we're executing on that it's getting to this point where things are just really exciting at work. I'm also contributing a lot more in ways that I didn't used to. So it has been really exciting seeing the work that I put in and my ideas being developed and actually showing up in app and showing up in places that really matter. All in all, it's gotten to this place where I feel like my contributions really make a difference. And I think being able to see that in itself is very motivating. A lot of people ask me what is the biggest benefit of working in a startup? And I think that's it, right? If you work in a corporate company, a lot of the times your work it has to go through so many different levels of approval before it gets to this place where it actually gets developed or it actually gets put into action. Whereas because you're on such a small team with a startup, everything you do makes such a big impact
because every person is essentially has to contribute at a very high level, wear a lot of hats, do a lot of things. Yes, sometimes the role does get convoluted in the sense that you're working on things that you will sometimes feel like, well, that's not in my scope of work. Or maybe sometimes you feel like, wow, maybe I should be getting paid more for the amount of work I do here. But at the same time, you're doing more, and that is part of the reason why so much of your work is so influential. It's because you are able to touch so much more. And I'm not saying that startups don't compensate fairly or anything like that, because I think every company tries to compensate as fairly as they can, especially depending on different companies' like budget size and salary structures, compensation structures, etc. I don't feel like I'm being compensated unfairly or unjustly, especially at this stage of our business. But I do know that a lot of people fall into that like thinking trap of, well, if I just did this somewhere else, I could be getting paid a lot more. And it started becoming this like phenomenon that young millennials or Gen Zers don't have that brand loyalty. At least that's what some of the older generations think, but I don't think it's that, right? Like the landscape of the workforce is just changing, and so sometimes you do have to leave a company and join another company in order to give yourself the raise that you want. For me personally, a lot of it is balancing the thought of, okay, like, does my work feel valuable here? And will I be able to receive that same level of recognition and feeling of fulfillment in another company? I was actually speaking to a friend about this the other day, about what drives you with your work. Is it money? Because for a lot of people, it's money, and that's totally fine. Is it fulfillment? Is it feeling like you're making a difference? That's totally fine as well. Like, everyone is very different as far as what motivates them. And I think personally, money is awesome, and you need to be in a certain income bracket to live comfortably in certain cities. There's all that, of course. But I do think, for me personally, what motivates me more than money is that feeling of fulfillment, that I am making a difference, that my work is valued, and that I'm working on something that I feel good about. That to me feels more rewarding than getting a lot of money. Because if I were to think about, okay, if I was in a situation where I was getting paid a ton, but the work environment wasn't great, I don't have as much flexibility, I don't have as much say in the changes that we make, don't have as much creative freedom, would I be happier? And the answer for some people is most definitely yes, because for them, their value of their work comes from the salary bracket that they're in. But I don't think that rings true for me. Anywho, just some food for thought, I guess. Especially for those of you who are entering the workforce and sort of figuring out what you want to do, what kind of company you want to work for. I think my perception of companies and work in the marketing sort of industry has changed a lot since I started working. There was a point in my life where I thought I wanted to do PR, and now that I have been working sort of more in this like broad marketing role for so long, rather than working in a specific role like PR or, you know, ad management or whatever it is, I think I personally like this a lot more, and I couldn't have imagined going to work at a PR firm or anything like that. Obviously, it's difficult to make these decisions for yourself about preference until you've actually experienced it, but that's just my personal 2 cents about it. I forgot to put on eyeliner before I put on mascara because I got so distracted talking to you. But yeah, I do think that that value piece is something worth considering. There was a point in my life where whenever somebody would ask you, like, what are your values? It would give me so much anxiety because I was still finding myself. Like, how am I supposed to know what my values are? That seems like such a grandiose sort of life question. I can say the typical things like friends and family and connection and, you know, integrity, but was I just saying those things because that's what society wanted to hear? And how could I honestly say that those are my values when that hasn't been tested in my day-to-day life. So the same applies for work. It's hard to know what you value in your work and what drives you and what motivates you until you've been able to experience it. I think it's also totally fine for your perceptions and your values to change over time as you experience things, because I had an idea of what I would enjoy in my work and what I wanted to do for work, and then I pivoted when I figured out that that wasn't it. I followed the opportunities that came to me, and I never locked myself in a box where I was like, no, I have to be in PR or I have to work in an agency. I took the opportunities that were available to me and I tried them out, knowing very well, stating right from the beginning that if this doesn't end up being something that I love, then that's fine and I will just pivot. I think it's nice to have that kind of mindset. The ability to pivot and to feel okay about things changing in your life and things not always playing right to your plan, because sometimes, honestly, I know it sounds so cheesy, but sometimes the best things or the best lessons come in the most unexpected ways or moments. Anyways, all just some food for thought. It's nice to have these chats that are outside of like, hey, this is what I'm doing for the day. And I hope you enjoyed it too, and I hope it was insightful for anybody who is feeling really confused about what they're gonna do, what they want to do, and what their career path is going to play out like. Anywho, back to work. I have a friend who, by the way, is a chef, as you'll quickly see, but he just brought up lunch. What in the world? Can we just admire this bread? I literally said, I would love some eggs Benny when he asked what I want for breakfast, and holy crap, this is insane. Never have I ever seen such a beautiful homemade breakfast bread. So anyways, we're pausing for lunch because this is too beautiful to eat cold. What a fucking good day. Okay, so I have finished organizing the marketing dashboard. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like, what I've decided to keep. What I essentially did was deleted any dashboards, databases, pages that were outdated and that nobody used anymore, and sort of just moved whatever important content that was on those pages into a page that we currently update. I'm not gonna click into each individual page because there are a lot of like confidential information on here, but I'm just gonna show you the dashboard in whole. And then if you have questions about any specific piece of the dashboard, then feel free to just comment in the comment section below and I will try to touch base on them in the next day in the life video. Okay, so this is what our main marketing dashboard looks like. The first part of the page actually shows all the people on our team. Now, some of these people aren't with our company anymore, but I've just kept their pages in the meantime because there could be work on there that other team members would want to take over before we actually went and deleted their pages. This next section is the visibility section. So this section shows all the most pertinent information about what we are working on. And if anybody from any other part of our team wants to come in and see, okay, what has the marketing department been working on? This is where they would go to see that all. So the first one is releases. So releases are all the website related releases that our web dev has been working on. The second one is communication. So obviously this is emails, social media, even like ads sometimes. So anything that's going out as a form of communication. This can include some website changes as well, depending on what that is, so like blog posts and stuff. But largely it's our editorial calendar for our marketing communications. Then we have projects, initiatives, and tasks. And I have talked about this structure before. We use the OKR structure that is used by huge companies like Google, but essentially we break out all of our work into these three buckets. So it starts at the project level where it talks about the major goals that we're trying to accomplish. We call those projects. And then underneath that are the initiatives it takes to actually complete those projects. So the initiatives are still relatively high level. It's like it's what essentially what I would imagine a project is, and a project is like a business goal, but it's named this way to stay congruent with the actual method.
And then tasks are all the things that it takes to complete the initiatives. So if our initiative is, let's say one of the most recent one was we're working on is adding a translate function to our templates section of the website. So that would be an initiative that would help to accomplish a specific goal. And that initiative can break down into a bunch of tasks. So tasks could be like, you know, find the right WordPress plugin, design what the flag system or translation like drop down would look like in the main nav, ask our web developer to execute on this design, get comments and opinions of our other developers. So all of those are tasks that would accomplish this initiative of translate our templates section, and that in itself could then add to a larger goal like boost our website traffic by X amount. I hope that makes sense. That was a quick description of a very encompassing topic. If you have more questions, let me know. I can probably do a whole video on the OKR method of organizing a task and your business goals, but yeah, that's not what this video is about. After that, this is actually a relatively new page. As I mentioned, we've been really trying to improve our documentation processes, so I created a marketing processes wiki, and this wiki will contain information on all of the different processes that we have as a marketing team. So like our workflow on launching social media posts, what we need to do to launch a new release or like to support the launch of a new release. So all of these are specific, I guess, like activities or tasks that we may have in relation to a campaign or a project. And I wanted to have some documentation there so that if anyone new comes in on the team that doesn't know how to do these things, they can refer to the wiki. But also when we ourselves are just heads down in these projects, it's important to have these checklists so we can go through them and say, okay, a launch is coming. These are all the things that we need to tackle. Have we done them all? And I think having these sort of checklists will really help to ensure that everything that needs to happen continues to happen even as new work gets pushed out the door. Okay, this section is our North Star, which does need to be touched up a little bit, but our North Star is essentially anything that has to do with our purpose or goals. Then we have our pillars. So this used to have a lot to do with content. It still does. I don't know if these docs necessarily need to be here. I need to do a further, like, deeper dive into these docs to see if I want to get rid of them, but they do have some pretty pertinent information on there right now that I have no better place for. So we have our cornerstone audit. We went through our website and did an entire audit of all the content that we have on our website to see what could be turned into cornerstone pieces. So that's an ongoing project that we're constantly working on. Our content calendar is something that I need to comb through. There's a lot of content on there, and it's what our old social media manager used, but we've since moved over to the communications calendar. So I just want to see if I can merge that data. Then we have our resources. So we have our blog content, which are just ideas, meetings, which are all of the meetings and like the notes that come with those meetings. Resources just contains more like various docs that may not necessarily fit in any of these categories. Blog strategy. So this was more so created when we were bringing on a blog writer. I don't want to get rid of these because the information that it contains can really guide a writer when it comes to writing for our specific brand. And then GA links. So these are all of the links that link to our different software into like different points. They're UTM tagged and they're ready to be tracked within our Google Analytics dashboard. So that's the marketing dashboard. There's actually more content underneath, but that's going into like what projects we have going on right now. And then there's a view of our calendar. So I'm not going to show that. I told you that it was going to be a Notion heavy day. So I'm going to comb through the projects, initiatives, and tasks now. I'll show you what the general structure looks like. So these are the projects, the main projects. They all have a priority. They all have a status, timeline, these relation properties, which show like what meetings and what resources are related to this specific project. So I need to comb through all of these projects to make sure they still align with what we're trying to do. Okay, that is what I'm working on next. I do actually have some blog work that I want to do later as well. So let's see how long this takes us, and then we're gonna edit some blog posts together. All right, I've went through pretty much all of the projects and initiatives. I'm not gonna do the tasks today because it's just going to take too long, and I'd like to move on to something else and just sort of continue this project tomorrow. actually I guess on Monday because it's Friday today. I've created a separate tab for all the current projects, but I wanted to create a really easy, visible way for people to see all of our current projects. And then when you went into initiatives, this is what it looks like. So I've actually categorized this so it breaks down into active initiatives, roadmap, and then some other tabs. But in the active tab, it shows all the projects that are up next, that are in progress, that are ongoing, and then underneath that, all the projects that are, paused as well. I also went through this entire list of initiatives just to make sure that it actually is reflecting correctly all the stuff that is active currently, and just archived anything that is old, outdated, or completed anything that was already complete and never updated. We're gonna move on to one of those tasks, which is getting started on some blog editing. So we did recently switch payment providers for users, so I need to update all of our old blog posts that talk about the old payment provider and update them so they reflect the new payment provider. And then I want to start writing a blog post about the launch of this payment provider as well. It's been a while since I've written a blog post for our company, so I'm actually quite excited to do this because it's just something that I've actually really been enjoying lately. I'm going to tackle the editing of the blog posts first because that's just low-hanging fruit, and then we can jump into writing. It's officially 4:05 p.m. I just wrapped up the very first, very rough draft of the release update for switching to a new payment provider. So I just sent that over to my teammate to review. It's 4 p.m. on a Friday. I'm not expecting them to get back to me today. So I'm actually gonna go head out and take Mika out for a walk now. It's starting to get dark at around like 6:30 p.m. now. So I wanna make sure that I don't miss out on the daylight and I actually get to let her run around in the woods while it's still bright outside and I'm not freaking out that it's really dark. I ended up finishing Ripe during my lunch break. Stay tuned to see the reading vlog for this book because it's the book that we read for our October Fable Book Club read. I'm just quickly looking over all the channels in Slack to see if there's anything that anyone needs, but looks like we're pretty much good to go. So let's go out for a little walk. I'm back from my walk and it doesn't look like anyone is planning on responding today, which is to be expected. It is a Friday. So I am signing off for the day. I'm gonna end off my vlog here. If you have any questions on anything that I worked on today, feel free to comment them down below. I've been trying to do little day in the life videos on my Instagram as well, so I'll put the handle here. Make sure you go and follow me on there. And I've been doing lots of newsletters and blog posts, so all of those links will be in the description box below. But other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!